Okay, so I think that most trans people would agree that there's not a single way to be a girl or a single way to be a guy. So I don't really know why this needs saying, but a lot of trans people seem to be forgetting that there's no single way to be a trans person. There are two reasons that I really want to make this video. First, I can't even begin to tell you how many people message me with comments along the lines of, do all trans guys have to do this? Or do all trans guys have to do that? Or can I still be a guy if I do this? Or can I still be a guy if I do that? Well, maybe those questions are actually motivated by real concerns, like, what are the health consequences if trans guys do this? Or will I still be able to change the gender marker on my driver's license or my passport if I don't do that? But when you phrase your question in the vein of, do all trans guys, or will I still be trans, or will I still be a guy if, then it's like you think that there's like some strict set of laws that determine whether you're trans enough or trans at all. Now, of course, there are exceptions, but more and more we're living in a time when there's no predetermined way to transition, or some strict timeline of what you have to do before you do something else, or some list of things that you have to do to be considered trans or male. So I don't really want to dismiss people who are actually trying to find out useful information, like how their choices will impact their health, or how their choices will influence their legal options for gender change. But if you're asking these questions because you're like actually legitimately concerned about whether you'll really be trans or really be a guy if you only do X and Y instead of X, Y, and Z, then I just want to remind you all, there's no single way to transition, and there's nothing that you have to do to identify a certain way. Second, and this is just a pet peeve of mine, but I'm sick of trans people acting like there's some trans-friendly filter that all trans people can just like magically shove their viewpoints and opinions through and make them come out so they don't rub a single other trans person the wrong way, no matter where that trans person identifies along the infinite points of the gender spectrum. Yes, trans people may expect other trans people to have more tact or to be more respectful and understanding since they've probably been through something comparable. But that doesn't mean that people aren't going to get offended, or that everyone's going to see eye to eye, or that everyone's going to be okay with what they hear. And this works both ways. There are people who want to actively embrace their transness and make it an active part of their identity and a visible part of their identity. And some of them may even feel like they're a third gender. And that's okay, and their viewpoints are all right. And then there are people who don't really feel like their trans history is a defining aspect of their being. And some of them actually may feel just fine in the gender binary. And that's okay too. And the viewpoints that they have are also okay. There are lots of different kinds of trans people with lots of different identities and lots of different views. And that doesn't mean that one group is being more trans or being trans the right way. All viewpoints and identities are acceptable, and they don't really have to threaten each other. So no matter who you are, and no matter how actively and visibly you embrace your trans history and identity, let's just accept our differences and accept the fact that it's okay for other trans people to have viewpoints that piss us the hell off.